At this point, there's like a million different create mod add-ons, but everyone basically just uses the same 3. So I went and did a bit of digging to find the most underrated create mod add-ons to try to spice things up a little bit. And just to be clear, when I say digging, I'm talking page 57 search results. So the first add-on I found is create horsepower, which kind of seems self-explanatory. It only adds a single block, which is the horse crank, and lucky for me, it does have a ponder set up for it. So it looks like we care about the blocks underneath it, and then we just care about the worker that's hooked up to it. That seems simple enough, but there's something I gotta talk about first, because I mean, look at this. These are basically the same thing, and I am trying so hard right now to not make an inappropriate joke. But I'm gonna blow past it, no pun intended. So to get the horse crank working, I just gotta place it down on a valid set of blocks, and I'm gonna assume that grass is a valid block because animals like grass, so why wouldn't it be? And then I just gotta hook a worker up to this. So I've got a perfect victim, I mean worker, right here. So if I grab this guy and then hook him up over here, I should just get rotational power. I'm extremely conflicted here because it looks like it's rotating and generating power, but then my goggles tell me I'm getting 0 stress units, which doesn't really make sense to me. Okay, well, I need to get a second opinion on this because I don't know what to believe anymore. Okay, so it is generating stress units. For some reason, it's just a little bit buggy with the goggles, but we are getting 256 stress units, which seems a little bit low. The horse crank itself really isn't that difficult to make, but then you gotta go make a lead and get a horse, and I feel like that's a lot for 256 stress units. And it's generating that at 2 RPM, so we're not really cooking with gas here just yet. Okay, I went and did a little bit of research, which is crazy, I know, but I looked through the config and I found out that grass is not the best path block under the horse crank. The best one is actually packed ice. So now I just need to fill in an area under this that is an undefined size because I don't actually know how big it needs to be. I feel like this has to be enough ice, right? So if we hook this guy up, I assume it's generating more power, and it's not. It's still running at 256 stress units. What about speed? Okay, so it is getting the same amount of stress units, but it is generating it at 8 RPM instead of 2 RPM. You're just speeding this up a little bit by making the horse live on ice, so it's slipping and sliding all over the place. I actually think this add-on fits really well with Create thematically. It looks super cool, and I would love to power a base with a bunch of horses, cranking around the horse cranks. The only problem is it doesn't really generate enough stress capacity to be better than even a regular water wheel, but I'm pretty sure we can fix that if we just come in here and edit the config a little bit. You just add a couple additional zeros here, right? One more for good measure. Yeah, I think I could use this add-on. The next add-on I found is Create Molten Metals. And right out the gate, it looks like this actually adds in a fair bit of stuff where you melt down your ores into molten metals and then you cast those into ingots. I don't really know how efficient that's gonna be, but I bet it's gonna look really cool. There's only one way to find out how cool it is though, so let's make some molten iron. And we get that from heating up a basin and then mixing the iron ore, and we get a byproduct of slag. Okay, well, I've got my little beginning of an ore processing setup here where I'm just putting some raw iron into the basin, and I'm pretty sure once I heat this, it should start turning this into molten iron, which should look pretty cool. Now, I'm not really gonna get into the fact that I don't understand why molten iron is yellow and basically looks like molten gold or brass, but either way, I already think this is a really cool way to process ore, but now I've got the molten iron, I've got some slag in there, and it looks like I gotta pull it out. So to make use of the molten iron, I need to spout it into some kind of mold, and there's a ceramic one which I believe gets consumed occasionally, and then there's the regular ingot mold which doesn't get consumed and can just be recycled. Okay, the spout is filled up, so if I put this mold under it, okay, that actually looks really cool. The mold looks awesome sitting there. I really want to see the animation for filling this up, but it may not fill it up until I make this move. Is that, no? What? No, fill this up. Oh, there we go. That's actually awesome. Oh my gosh, and you can place it down too. Like you could use this as a decoration in the world. That is so cool. Like I said, I don't know how efficient this is. I'll check the math in a second here, but this visually looks awesome. So once you have the ingot mold that's filled, then you need to bulk wash it, and that's how you get your ingot, and then you separate it from the mold, which presumably you need to recycle back around to be filled again. So I need to make a washing and recycling setup here. Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure the overly complicated setup is now ready to fill this mold and then to bulk wash it and then to pop the iron out into this barrel and then to recycle it with a mechanical arm back here. Please work. And the arm isn't picking it up. Okay. Now the setup is finally done. It's perfect. It's obviously as efficient as humanly possible. So if I put this ingot mold right here, it fills it up and then it's going to wash it. And then that comes out there. The mechanical arm picks it up and it puts it back in and it goes again. Yes. I love this. And I think it works really well with Create. The molten metal part is awesome. And as a little bit of a bonus, you do technically get some slag, but the uses for this are pretty limited because you can crush a slag for a chance at getting gold nuggets, copper, pretty much every type of nugget at a sub 1% chance. But overall, once you get it working, it's so cool. The next add-on I found is Create Sheets to Ingots, which is another one that I think is relatively self-explanatory. So this one's super simple. It doesn't even add any new blocks into the game. It adds one single, very important functionality. Normally when you're making stuff with Create, you're just gonna press a ton of different sheets using the mechanical press because chances are you're gonna use these up eventually. The only problem is if you're like me, you'll end up with a chest full of assorted types of sheets where you'll have 36 copper sheets and 4 brass sheets and 1 gold sheet and a ton of iron sheets, and you don't really need them, but you're still stuck with them. The nice thing with Create Sheets to Ingots is you're able to take these extra sheets and obviously convert them back into ingots. That's why I said it was self-explanatory, guys. It's because the only thing it does is it allows you to smelt these sheets back down into ingots. Something I think is important to note though is this feature is also actually included in Create Molten Metals that I just went over, where you can in fact take the sheets and then mix them down with a heated blaze burner, and you also get molten iron. But if you don't want to deal with this whole process, well then it's a lot simpler just to use the sheets to ingots. And by far the most insane underrated add-on that I found was Create Optics. So this one adds in a fair bit of new blocks, from an optical source to optical receptors and then different mirrors and polarizing beam splitters, and oh my god guys, my brain already hurts. It literally already hurts. Now the nice thing is each one of these has a ponder scene set up for it, so if you have no clue about optics, you can actually probably understand most of this. The only problem is when you get into the later ones. I mean, what am I looking at here? It's it's so cool, but we are losing the simplicity at this point. Do you guys look at all this? Do you guys feel like you're back in physics class yet? You're basically back in school at this point. It just keeps going. There's so much to read. Oh, it looks so cool though. So at a very low level, I'm pretty sure this just allows us to wirelessly transport rotational power. So we've got the source right here, and then the receptor, if we put it over here, you can see it's getting rotational power. Now this is crazy to me that it's got all these different things here. We've got beam type, microwaves, the propagation range, the polarization, but the most important thing right now is that it's giving 128 stress units, which we can see we're getting over here. My question first though, wait, if I stand in the way, it stops it? That's crazy. Dude, who made this mod? Did like Stephen Hawking make this mod before he passed away or something? What the heck? But I want to know what the difference is between the heavy optical receptor and the regular optical receptor. Is it like, does this max out at a certain point? If I crank this all the way up, oh my God. Wait, if you crank it up, then you can see because it changes the beam type. It changes to visible light. If I go higher, is this going to give us like X-ray? Oh, wait. Okay, I just need to prove that I do understand this. I think X-ray is lower than gamma, right? Or is X-ray just above gamma? I can't remember, never mind. So it goes from visible light, it goes microwaves, and then it goes to the visible light where you can actually see it. That's so cool. And then it goes to gamma where you can't see it again. Do we get any benefit though of going to this? We don't. It just goes at a lower RPM. The coolest one though is definitely visible light. So let's put this at 96 so we get some visible light here. And right here we have wireless transportation of rotational power, except we just can't get in the way of it. But this is just the start of it, because then we've got all these different mirrors and stuff. So if I place a mirror right here, it changes. It's just like a science class experiment where you put all the different mirrors and you bounce the laser from one to another. So if I put that there and then another one there, I love this. This is so cool. And I'm assuming after 64 blocks, it just stops. I assume that's what the propagation range is. So if I put a mirror here and then rotate this, after 64 blocks, it should stop, right? I guess this right here is 64 blocks then. So that's the max. So it seems like the lower the input speed, the further it will go, but the less power it's going to have with it. So I'm assuming since if I blocked it, it got rid of the beam. I'm assuming if there's a block there, yep, it stops it. But now I want to test glass because I swear one of those ponders showed glass and it makes it a different color. That's so... Oh, guys, I love this. I don't understand how this is such an underrated create mod add-on. This thing looks crazy. Now, the polarizing beam splitter block, I feel like is going to be crazy. So what does this do? Oh my gosh, does it work as a mirror and it splits the polarizing? So this one, if I set it back to random, it's got both vertical and horizontal going through. So 50% of it goes through here and the other goes through here. And I'm assuming that if we switch this to horizontal, all of it goes through. Oh my gosh. So it's like a gearbox directing it in multiple different directions, but it actually splits it. Wait, so then I can put red here and make that red, and I can put blue there and make that blue. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, this right here may legitimately be my magnum opus. This is my finale. So if you're confused about what this is, it is all to use the beam focuser, which is this block right here, which looking at the ponder for it, it looks like you can harness the light to cook food with this, acting basically like a microwave, and it's got a cool visual to it. So this setup right here, I'm trying to use everything in this mod. So we're going to create the power right here. It's going to shoot out the light. It's going to split 50% of it this way, 50% of it this way, come up, go down, around, and cook all of this. And the yellow side will be over here and the red side will be over here. Please. Oh my gosh, I need to power this with rotational power too. Okay, well, now it works. That's a little bit greedy. It needs rotational power and it needs microwaves. Oh my gosh, the colors even work too. That's so cool. Now, if I up this, will it stop working? What are you talking about? You don't want to process my food with gamma rays?